how important is it for you to finish non-conference strong this week? This week and then a week off before you get into the stretch run, but you've got some business to take care of.
Incredibly important. We've got to continue to get better. You know, other teams, if you look at it after Saturday night of this upcoming weekend, that's when we don't get to control what's going on. This weekend we do. We can have a part in it of controlling it. So our focus has to be on that and coming back home, defending home ice, and making sure that we're on point.
You know, it's been, your defense has been great all season. Saturday was one of those rare games where, the offense really kind of had to ramp up things to get that, pull out the victory. I guess I'm wondering looking back, what did you see defensively? Was it one of those things where you just feel over as a coach over the course of the season, there are going to be games like this, or were there certain things you looked at in that, second Notre Dame game that you said, hey, I'm concerned about this?
Well, first of all, I want to give Notre Dame credit. They're a good hockey team. Their forwards stressed us out. They played with pace. They got inside us, outside us, beat us to our net a few different times. I think they dialed it up because they didn't want to have the outcome be what it was on Friday. And so I want to give credit to Notre Dame for pushing us. Second piece of that is just we relaxed a little bit. And if you relax defensively against a team like Notre Dame, they're going to put it on you, and they did. They came out after us and came in waves. That was as much as we've been on our heels in a few weeks. So we need to tighten those things up defensively, our puck management, and then once we get into our zone, our discipline. Our discipline almost cost us on Friday. So we've got a lot of things that we need to clean up from this weekend, but fortunate because of goaltending on night one and then really having some different guys step up throughout the offensive effort that we needed on Saturday to outscore our mistakes allowed us to have a good weekend.
What's the conversation like with Kyle after obviously making the goalie change? What's the conversation like with him after the game, just trying to reinstill confidence in him after the performance against Notre Dame?
Actually, when I was going around just congratulating the guys on the sweep, I got to him and I said, you got to be tired. He's been carrying us a long time. And I said, if I know what his expectations are in himself, and I just shared with him that those might be a little unrealistic, that he had done a phenomenal job carrying us to that point, and take a breath and understand those things are going to happen. And he's done that. We had a good conversation yesterday, and I thought, Grammy did a phenomenal job at stepping into a difficult spot and not letting us slide, not letting that game get tied going into the third period. So I think Kyle's a veteran. He's a guy that's been through some peaks and valleys, and I think he's going to be just fine.
You have to change how because the goalies, they're out there taking a lot of shots every day. Try to manage that a little bit and say, let's have a couple days where maybe you're not getting as much and let the other guys do that.
You know what? It's our sport at the National League level, at pro hockey, is different than it is at the collegiate level. We're not playing 82 games where we're playing back-to-backs and travel, and what I mean by back-to-backs is playing in one building somewhere and then getting on a plane or a bus and traveling somewhere else, or coming back home and playing. We're playing in, more often than not, in the same spot, and then we get a reset for 5 days. So getting them their work as a collective group of three, I think, is really important, and I think Murdoch's done a great job with our group that way at making sure our load for our goaltenders is what it needs to be, and we'll continue to go in that direction.
With Quinn Finley coming back this week, I guess I'm wondering, it might be obvious, but with someone getting the opportunity to compete at the international level when they come back, is there any downside at all to any of that experience as far as, a guy leaving the team for a few weeks and then having to come back?
Zero. I think it's an unbelievable experience for a young man. What I found when I've had other players that have gone and played in international competition, all-star games, things like that, his role was different there than what it has been here a little bit. He was relied upon to kill penalties and play a depth role, be a responsible defensive player. I always find you get a better player when they come back. Now, they might be a little tired, but that's one reason when he came back, he flew to Madison. He didn't fly into South Bend because he needed some rest, and he's had that rest. He's had a great reset. It's a forever moment for him, for that group, for that staff, for USA Hockey, and winning a gold medal. And it gave other opportunities for players within our lineup to play different roles that maybe they haven't played before. So I don't think there's any negative to that. Whether they would have won the gold or not, it's a great experience, but for them finding a way to win gold through some of the adversity that they experienced, something special, but we're glad he's back.
Health-wise, Fitzgerald and Cleveland maybe closer to Fitzgerald for sure, but Cleveland maybe still a while.
You're right on the head of the nail. Fitzy's good. He's full go. Cleveland's still a little bit day-to-day, but is improving and getting better, but won't be available this weekend.
Mike, did you do anything differently or simplify the power play? You had 3 of them.
I thought our power play on Friday zapped energy from us. We've talked multiple times about even if it doesn't put one on the board, we need to draw some positive energy, some momentum from it. And until Owen found Charlie and Charlie finished, our power play was leaking oil. Had a conversation with the group on Saturday, and I thought I want to give the credit to that group because they came to me and said, "Hey, Coach, and I'm going to talk about Cillier, Bantle, D. St. Phal, that group and Cruz just came and said, "Hey, Coach, what do you think about these adjustments?" I said, "Fellas, if you'll own them, 100%. And I thought they went out and performed, the way that you'd like them to perform. And all the credit to those guys because they were okay looking in a mirror. As our, having Bantle out of that mix, you've seen he's had a pretty large impact on us on the power play when he's got that net front, and he's starting to get more comfortable at making plays. So I want to give credit to those guys, not so much the coaching staff on making an adjustment and being a bit more dialed on Saturday than they were on Friday.
What was it that before they came to St. Paul came to you and talking about Luke the Master as a possibility to help fill in some space on a deep court that got a little small? It
was first Jungwirth decides he wants to go in a different direction, and then Cleve got hurt. And they just, and again, their approach to it, I want to say, was incredibly respectful to myself and to Lemaster. And they're 2 guys that are trying to do the best for this program and for our team this season. And so they knocked on the door and said, "Can we have a conversation?" I said, "Sure." I didn't know what direction that was going to go. You never do as a coach, right? And they just approached it, and I had been in contact, with Lemaster previously, and then when they mentioned that, we started to communicate a little bit more on what our options were going to be and what his intentions or wants were going to be coming into the program.
Jeff, when you talk with him, is it like, here's the reality of this? I mean, you're coming into a spot to help us, but we're still pretty far down the depth chart in the reality of it.
In my short time here, even going back to when I first started and listening to previous staff, teammates, having my interaction with Luke, that wasn't a great experience, I'm sure, from his side. And I'm going to tell you, as a coach, those are never great experiences. You try to handle them the best that you can for the athlete his family, and for the program. And so anything up until that point, from administration to all the people I've already referenced, they've spoke very well of Luke and how he handled it and how he handles his business. And so, yeah, we've had a very adult conversation about what the situation is. And the thing I appreciate, he's excited. He's always been a guy, previous to me being here and post, that loves Badgerland, right? It's very important for him to get his degree here at the University of Wisconsin to set him up for what's after hockey. And so he's had a great mindset. He understands what his role is, and I think he'll be prepared for anything that comes of it.
Mike, what's impressed you the most about how this group has just handled the success that they've had so far?
I think they've done a good job at tuning out what's happened and focused on what's in front of them, their dailies. And that goes back to the leadership group of just managing today. Tomorrow we'll be here at some time, and yesterday we can't do anything about other than learn from. And that group's done a really good job at just turning the page every day and focusing on what they get to control.